All right, well, I think I came up with a solution to the problems with the film The Odyssey. There appears to be some backlash regarding the casting of certain actors based on their political views. So from now on, only those actors who have conservative values will be allowed to work in the movie industry, especially when adapting a classic piece of literature foundational to Western society. So I have found replacement actors for all of these, and maybe with AI we could just simply insert their faces into the existing movie, or we'll have to reshoot the entire movie again. Now keep in mind, there's not really a whole lot of conservative actors to choose from. So the first person I could think of to play the leading role of Odysseus was the actor who played Deuce Bigalow, male gigolo. That's right, Rob Schneider. Rob Schneider is often on Fox News, espousing conservative values, speaking out against the woke left in Hollywood. I think he would make a very good Odysseus. He has the right ideology that we need. He also believes in initiating a military draft so that American young people can go fight Israel's wars. And this story it's really a MAGA story. It's about a guy who just wants to get home so he can vote for Trump. But an evil witch is holding him back. So who's going to play that? Who's going to play the role of Calypso? Now in the movie we got Charlie playing the role of Calypso, who I thought just wasn't very good in the role, to be honest. And you can see that Charlie is by far the tallest person there, followed by the goddess Zendaya, towering above everyone else. So we got to find someone on the right who can play the role of a goddess. Well, I do have somebody who I actually don't know their political ideologies, but Angelina Jolie's father is John Voight, and he is conservative. So I think this is close enough, and maybe as close as we can possibly get for this role. So I'm not sure what Angelina Jolie believes politically, but anyone named Angel, and the last name is Holy Angel, is a good person to play a goddess. And someone who's kind of crafty and seductive and kind of an enchantress, kind of holding Odysseus hostage, wants to keep him from seeing his conservative wife. So I think this person fits the role better than Charlie. I could see Odysseus wanting to stay here with Angelina for a while. You could imagine that. Not so much with Charlie. Charlie's a little too tall. Charlie's taller than Odysseus, in fact. Now, who is Odysseus's wife now? So in the movie, it was played by Anne Hathaway, who also has given many speeches at the United Nations saying that gender is a myth and the world needs to become androgynous. That's basically what Anne Hathaway was saying. Very good piece of propaganda. Anne Hathaway with words. And she doesn't know if Odysseus is dead or not. Everyone's telling her that Odysseus is dead. Who better to play the role of a grieving widow mourning the loss of her husband than the one and only most conservative Christian in America and one of the greatest actors on the world stage today, Eric Kirk, playing the role of Penelope, the grieving widow surrounded by men who just want to marry her. Basically, it's the story of Erica Kirk's life. Can't keep the man away. The beauty and the power, just too great for a man to resist. Most beautiful woman in Arizona, pageant winner, actor, spokesperson, head of a multi-million-dollar political movement. All right, next up is the suitor. All right, so there's a dude in the movie who wants to marry Odysseus's wife. So there's somebody who wants to marry Erica Kirk. Who could that be? Well, in the movie, it's played by that guy from the Twilight series, Robert Patrick. I forget his name. He's a pretty good actor. I don't want to replace him. I don't know his political views, but he's got to be replaced with somebody more conservative. And there can be no other person who wants to claim the throne of the late great actor named Charlie Kirk. Can be no other than J.D. Vance, trying to steal Penelope away from Odysseus. It's a tale that has been told many times, this time with a modern twist. Now, what about Helen? What about the most beautiful woman in the world? The reason for the Trojan War? Who's a conservative actor that is also quite beautiful that you could imagine wars being fought over her? Well, of course, there's only one choice. That's right, the one and only Sydney Sweeney. You can imagine men willing to die for Sydney Sweeney. A beautiful conservative woman is the only choice. And as an added bonus, Sydney Sweeney is white. They didn't have any black people in Greece. They still don't. All right, next up, Athena. This is another controversial choice, and one that I particularly did not like Zendaya in this role. I thought Zendaya didn't really add much to the role, didn't really do much. Zendaya was just kind of standing there talking, really. It didn't seem like a goddess. When you read the book, Athena is described as having these radiant eyes, and Athena appears on Earth in the form of either a man or a woman, kind of like a shapeshifter. Athena appeared as a man many times in the book, but in the movie, well, it's hard to tell, actually. It's hard to tell. Zendaya just kind of, maybe that's the reason they chose Zendaya, because you can kind of cover all the bases at once, I guess. And you kind of get the best of both worlds, as Sammy Hagar once said. So in that sense, it is a good casting choice, but I just thought that Zendaya didn't do a good job of acting. Maybe I'll have to see it again. Maybe there were some nuances to the performance I missed. So who can we replace Zendaya with to play Athena, the goddess who appears as either a male or a female? Well, I think there's only one choice. Conservative Republican, and you don't get much more conservative Republican than this, Caitlyn Jenner. That's right, Caitlyn Jenner is a conservative Republican. Caitlyn Jenner qualifies according to this criteria. Caitlyn Jenner can play the role of a man or a woman, a god in disguise. In fact, the whole movie and the whole book really is about gods in disguise. You got to be hospitable to people, to strangers, because they might be gods in disguise. That's the law of Zeus. Caitlyn Jenner can protect Odysseus on his journey home to Erica Kirk. All right, next up, possibly the most controversial casting choice, which is Ellen Page, or otherwise known as Elliot Page, playing the role of... Now, the conservative right originally said that Ellen Page was playing the role of Achilles, the great warrior Achilles, played by beautiful Brad Pitt back in the day in some other movie called Troy. But that turned out to be wrong. Elliot Page is playing the role of Sinon, who's not really a great, powerful warrior. In fact, doesn't even appear in the book, The Odyssey, appears more in the Aeneid. We need to cast a more conservative actor for the role of Sinon. Someone who's not really a great warrior, someone who's not too strong, but someone who holds conservative values. Now, we're really running out of candidates. There's really only about 10 conservative actors in Hollywood, so I thought maybe Mark Wahlberg would fit the bill pretty well. Last but not least, there's one more actor we need to recast, currently played by Tom Holland, who is the husband of Zendaya, which makes him too far to the left by association. We need to find someone to play the son of Odysseus, preferably a younger actor. But like I said, there are no young conservative actors out there. So again, we're going to have to make do with a slightly older actor, because the main criteria is really not talent or who's best for the role. The main criteria is your ideology. Since we're running out of conservative candidates, I thought, well, let's get someone older. That's fine, no problem. So I thought Sylvester Stallone would make a good son of Odysseus. Now, I was trying to get Ann Coulter in there somewhere, and I think Ann Coulter can be in there somewhere, playing a bit more of a minor role. I broke the AI. That's why the stocks are tanking, trying to get an AI-generated image of Ann Coulter in this movie. That's as close as I could get right there. So, and we're going to need a new director. Obviously, Christopher Nolan doesn't really know what he's doing. Still kind of a new up-and-coming filmmaker. Not too many great movies under his belt. Some of them a little hard to understand anyway. You know, we just got to kind of simplify the story. Just give us kind of a linear story. told in chronological order, nothing confusing, no strange flashbacks, and the director must have conservative ideology. So I thought Clint Eastwood might make a good candidate to direct the new conservative right version of the Odyssey. He's 96 years old and still making movies, so there should be no problem. But either way, we fixed the problem because we have now replaced all the actors with conservatives who can finally do the story justice. And speaking of height-challenged actors, they had one of these Comic-Con events announcing something about the Avengers and the new Avengers movie, which is basically the Greek gods. It's just a modern retelling of the ancient Greek stories of their gods and goddesses. But if we zoom in and look closely, we'll see that Robert Downey Jr. is wearing these massive platform shoes. I'm not even sure the name of these shoes, what you call them, but it makes them appear to be quite a bit taller. Now, by chance, I actually stood next to this guy once, just kind of randomly, accidentally, and my first thought was, I couldn't believe how short he was. So there's the cast, and now look, that's Downey Jr. You can see the shoes right there. Like, why would anyone wear those shoes? The only reason is to appear to be taller. So this is one of the greatest special effects they do in the movies, is to make these actors appear taller than they are. A lot of these famous leading actors are very, very short. Shorter than most men you'd ever meet. It's all kind of an illusion. And that's the industry they work in. That's the job. Because you need to have the movie star to sell the movie. And to sell the movie star, you got to wear the platform shoes. This is probably the most important special effect in the entire Avengers cinematic universe. Right here. The platform boots, similar to the boots that Gene Simmons used to wear. So that explains the illusion of even standing on this stage right here, making him look as tall as everyone else, when the truth is, good old Iron Man and Dr. Doom is actually the shortest person there on stage. Now, there's nothing wrong with being short. We can't really control these things, but why do they need to make him look tall? What are they trying to cover up? What's the big mystery?